Hello, good evening. Welcome to Decipher Sociology, and today we are going to discuss the thinkers and perspectives that we should focus in paper 1. Okay, so we assume that you have started sociology preparation, or perhaps you have just gone through a few books before starting the actual syllabus of sociology civils, right? Now, sociology as a subject is very easy and people from different backgrounds they opt for this subject, but there is one thing which is new for most of the aspirants, and that portion is the portion which deals with thinkers. Now, when you see the syllabus, you will see in paper 1, because today our focus will be paper 1. So when you look at the syllabus which has been provided by UPSC, you will see that paper 1 is divided into 10 chapters. Okay. So these chapters, although nothing is mentioned very clearly in the first 3 chapters about thinkers, the names are not mentioned. Names are mentioned in chapter number 4 or topic 4 as we call it, because the name of this particular topic is sociological thinkers. But when you look at minutely, or when you go through the last 10 years PYQs, previous years question papers, you will see that every chapter of the paper 1 syllabus, it deals with thinkers or sociologists directly or indirectly. So it is advisable that as a civil service aspirant, you should be prepared with this idea that if I am beginning the preparation of sociology, I should be ready to remember those thinkers whose names are mentioned time and again in different notes or books that you may be reading. Also, you should have a separate notebook, or if you are making notes online, perhaps a separate file for jotting down the names of these thinkers and maybe writing down few keywords or key points. Okay. Now, the first chapter or topic 1 is sociology, the discipline. Now, the name of sociology paper 1 is Fundamentals of Sociology. By fundamentals, especially, we mean the theory, concepts of this subject, maybe some jargons or technical terms which are used mainly by people who study sociology. So, this chapter or this paper may be difficult if you are new to sociology, and if you are a fresher, then it will take some time to become familiar with these terms. But there are many aspirants, or there have been many aspirants since the beginning of civil services in India, and people from diverse backgrounds, they have been able to understand these terms and they have scored good marks. So you have to just work hard sincerely and you will also be able to understand these terms, right? So what we are going to do today is we will go through every chapter and just take a cursory view of the different thinkers, although they are not mentioned directly, but which we should remember. Okay. Now, this is the first topic of paper 1 of sociology syllabus. The name is Sociology, the discipline. So here it means how this subject emerged. Why was this subject born? What were the factors responsible? what was the social condition during that time, and what was its relation with other social sciences, because sociology is a type of social science. So when we look at the first subtopic, the name is Modernity and Social Changes in Europe and Emergence of Sociology. So here the thinkers are not mentioned, but we should know, or we should note down, who were the founders and co-founders of sociology, and who were the sociologists who came after that and who tried to refine their theories. So these people are, for example, we have Auguste Comte, we have Herbert Spencer, we have Durkheim, we have Marx. So these people were very important when sociology was born. After that, what happened? New sociology also came. For example, we had Parsons, we had Merton. So these people tried to revise the theory which was given by earlier sociologists. So they were also important. Now, we are going to provide you a short list of these thinkers. So do not worry that what if I forget, because you will have to go through this list regularly. You will not remember otherwise. Okay. Second is scope of the subject and comparison with other social sciences. So whenever a new discipline is established, the first thing that the founders do is they try to define it. What should it contain? What should be the subject matter? You know? And what all issues should it include? Whether it should include some subjects of other social sciences, whether they should have some common subject matter, or how different they should be from other social sciences. So here other social sciences mean we are talking about, let's say, anthropology, we are talking about psychology, history, economics, political science. So whenever a discipline is established, we have to see its relation with other disciplines also. So here what happened, when the thinkers they were establishing sociology, there were two schools of thought. Schools of thought means two types of perspectives or the thinking, and there were two groups. There were two groups. They had different thoughts about what the scope should be. Their names you will remember later, either specialistic or synthetic. So they had different views. Every type of school of thought, they had certain thinkers. So these also we have to remember. Now, most important, the third type was the struggle between sociology and common sense. So there were people who said that sociology has common features or commonalities between common sense, or there were some people who said no, sociology is different from common sense, there is no similarity. So this debate goes on till today. This is a very interesting debate because it divided the thinkers into two teams, we can say. One were the positivists and the other were the non-positivists. So positivists, they said that there is no place of common sense. Non-positivists said that no, common sense could be included because most of sociology is common sense only, right? So what, as a sociology student, you have to remember their arguments. Okay? You have to remember these arguments. You have to remember amongst the positivists who said what. Although this all seems to be boring at first, but once you understand, once you memorize, this is also scoring. Okay? Because these are very straightforward questions. So our job is to filter out thinkers from every topic, subtopic of the syllabus. Now, when we go to the next chapter, once we have established the discipline, we then decide whether sociology we can call it science or not. Do you have any doubt? You can unmute yourself and speak.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, what happened after sociology was born? Then again, there were conflicts, there were arguments between the positivists and the non positivists. Some were saying that sociology should strictly be like the natural sciences. By natural sciences, we mean physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, all those subjects. But there was another group, they called themselves the non positivists because they were against or they did not fully agree with what the positivists said. They said that we are studying people, we are studying society, and people are unpredictable. We cannot study them in a laboratory, we cannot perform experiments on them. So, whether whereas in natural sciences we are studying matter and the scientist is different from matter, right? So if I have to study something, if I have to study how the temperature of water goes on increasing as I heat it, then I can study simply the change in temperature. But if I have to study a person, then what happens if that person belongs to my village, if that person belongs to my gender, or if that person belongs to my occupation? What will happen? That I will start having some kind of prejudice or bias during the observation, and maybe my conclusion will be affected because of my similarities with the object or whatever I am studying. So, here what is happening? The subject matter is not different from the observer. Here it is entirely different. So, these questions or these arguments constantly happened between the positivists and the non positivists, right? So, all these things, they are mainly dependent on this conflict or argument. Whether sociology should be a science, can we apply scientific method in study of society? What is the critique? Every in every part you will see that there will be a thinker. Okay? Someone will be saying yes, we can apply scientific method, then someone will be arguing against it. So even the critique is important for a sociology student. You have to remember the name of the thinker also and the critique also. Similarly, when you are studying the different theoretical strands, it simply means the different theoretical perspectives. Okay? So then you have to go into a bit detail. We learned about positivist. Now we will specify. We will specify positivist means who. So the functionalist will come here. The conflict theories will come here. Okay? These terms are new, but all of these terms you will come to know in detail in chapter 4. Okay? So This detail we have to remember, and perhaps a few names. Then we have the non-positivists. These people are also known as, they call them the interpretivist or the interpretativist, right? So again, the same thing is coming here. Then two more important things. The first one is you will be asked questions on positivism and critique. So here you will be writing about the functionalist and the conflict theorist. So who will be the critique? If I say I am writing an answer on positivists, who are the people who are critiquing the positivists? I just told. Critiquing means they did not support the positivists, or they did not support the theory of the positivists. They called themselves the non-positivists. Okay? So you can see how this entire chapter is revolving around either the positivists or the non-positivists. So when you see things from a larger perspective, you will see that sociology as a subject is not complicated, is not difficult. Every part is interrelated. You can relate one chapter with another, and easily you can make out what is the core point. Okay, so here again, the second point, the non-positivists, right? So here what they have done, this part is not given specifically in the syllabus, but we have to understand from the PYQs. So what we do, that is I do, is that I make sure that these things are mentioned separately so that the job of the student becomes easier. So whatever is highlighted in this color, that I have written separately. Okay. For example, I know that Weber, he comes or he is known as an interpretivist. Then we have a school of thought known as symbolic interactionist, phenomenologist, ethnomethodologist. So these are the different theories that you have to remember. You should also know the founder of each theory. Okay? Webering, naturally Weber hai. Symbolic interactionist, for us, Mead is important. है ना? Similarly, for phenomenology and ethnology, we have a few thinkers. Right? Now, as a sociology student, this part is a bit difficult. This chapter is a bit, I would say, boring. Why? Because it is difficult to understand. But if you have doubts while studying, please message me and tell me what you did not understand, then I can make things clear. Okay? Right. You have any doubts in this part?
Ma'am, the interpretative means interaction is perspective. Both of them are same or different?
Yes, interactionist. It comes under interpretivist only.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Hmm. So, what happens? We started with emergence. Then, what happened? We decided whether it should be scientific discipline or not. Now, we have to decide what are the research methods that we are going to use in sociology, because we cannot simply copy paste. We cannot simply take the methods of other disciplines and say that no, we are going to use and this is a sociology method. No, every discipline should have a method of its own. Of course, we can take the help of other disciplines, but at least 2 or 3 methods we should have of our own, right? So what happened when sociology was established, when it was decided that yes, it will be scientific to certain extent, then the thinkers decided upon the methods. Now again that same argument happened. The positivists, they said that we can use the method of the natural sciences, so we are going to use only quantitative methods. Quantitative methods are methods, for example, we have the prelims exam where MCQs are provided. So, for any type of survey, any type of questionnaire, whenever the answer is only one word, that type of research is known as a quantitative method, right? Only one word, either sometimes you will see yes, no, some kind of poll is there, right? For example, we have after elections or by elections, we have, let's say, some kind of poll in order to predict the winner. So there will be, let's say, 4 or 5 candidates, you have to choose one. So whenever the answer is only one word, that is known as quantitative method. And the positivists, they said that in sociology we should have this method because then it will make sociology as a scientific discipline, right? So this is what the positivist said. But again, we had the critics, the non-positivists, they said that no, we are studying society, we are studying human beings. We cannot understand society simply by yes or no, right? When we are comparing, when we are trying to understand people from two backgrounds, for example, one is married, another is unmarried, one is living in a city, one is living in a village. So, their social conditions will also affect their thinking. Their religion may affect their thinking. So, if we want to know about them, what will happen? We have to go for qualitative method. So, qualitative method is like your mains examination, where you have to write your thoughts, where you have to express your answer in, let's say, one paragraph, or there is a word limit. For example, we have X or the Twitter, which used to be called the Twitter. So there we have a word limit. Still, you can express your opinion in words. Similarly, the non-positivists, they said that because we are trying to understand human beings, we should make use of a subjective method. We cannot use an objective method to understand society because things seem to be changing from one person to another, from one place to another, from one religion to another, one region to another. Everything is different. So we had quantitative as well as qualitative methods. So at present, both these types of methods are there. And usually what happens, a social scientist or sociologist, they use a combination of methods. Because what happens, suppose I use only an objective method, right? Yes, no. I did not go for subjective method. Later on, I might feel that my conclusion may be wrong. So, both the methods I'm going to use, or perhaps a combination of methods I'm going to use. In the second part, this part, this is total memory based. Okay. Here you have to memorize all types of theories, all types of methods of data collection, how data is collected. So there will be many methods, and we will be sharing with you the list of methods that you should remember. We also have lectures on this, so if you do not understand, even the lectures will help you understand what each method includes. Then there are a few concepts. So here mainly again those same thinkers will come, no new thinkers. Maybe in data collection few thinkers you will come across, and in these examples of the concepts you will come across few thinkers. Otherwise mainly here you have to remember the methods. Yes, tell me what is your doubt?
No doubts in this section, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now comes the most, at least the major, I would say, the main part of sociology, paper 1. Although this looks short, every subtopic is like one chapter or 4 5 chapters. Here we suggest, like in the last topics 1 2 3, you can go for any source, start with Igloo Unit 1 and then go for any notes. As I've already mentioned, there is a notes by one topper known as Neha Bhosle ma'am. You can go for her notes because many people they have preferred her notes. You can go for her notes. But when you come to thinkers, what I will suggest you is that there is a section in Igloo known as ESO 13, right? It deals with thinkers and mainly the first 5 thinkers. So it has chapters on Karl Marx, Durkheim, Weber, Parsons, Merton. These are very detailed, but I would suggest at least go through the first 3 thinkers in detail. Okay, go through them in detail. This you can go superficially or from any other source. If you feel that it has lesser material, you can go for that source. But since they are treated as the founders of sociology, so detail is required because it will help you in building a strong foundation, right? So I'm going to share with you this part also. Now here major understanding is required, memorization definitely is required. So here there are 2 parts. First part is that you have to remember the thinker's name, their theories. In theory also there is not one theory, it is a mixture of several concepts, interrelation, everything is there. Now apart from that, there are some minor thinkers, their names are not mentioned, but they have critiqued. Critique does not mean criticize generally, but it simply means that they are suggesting some new ways in order to refine the theory. Some are, of course, they are against this thinking entirely. So, all those thinkers they are known as critiques. So, we have to remember these critiques also because sometimes what happens, the examiner they will set question on this critique also. So instead of the main thinker, what they will do, they will set question on the critique. So you have to remember all of them. So again we have Marx, Durkheim, Weber, Parsons, Merton. Now GH Mead, you might find his I think in Nitin Sangwan definitely it is given, the book Nitin Sangwan. You can either refer to him, Mead here, or in any other textbook also it is given. So if you do not have material, just tell me, I will provide that notes, right? So this part you may not understand now, but I will just try to touch this topic. We were studying about positivists and the non-positivists. So here you will see that Karl Marx, Durkheim, they will come under the positivist. Similarly, Parsons and Merton, they will also come under positivist. And in non-positivist, we will study Max Weber and we will also study G.H. Mead. So these are the thinkers who are in our syllabus. So we have to know their theory in detail. But in topics 1 to 3, only if you know the names, that is sufficient. Okay? So this is important and I am going to share this part with you. Keep it with you safely and when the time comes you will go through it. Okay? While going through it also, if you need some help you can tell me, because I have recorded few lectures which are based on these units only. They are a bit shorter just for understanding. So it will help you in tracking that progress or that particular chapter. Okay? So that will help you. Now we have understood how sociology as a discipline was established, right? Then we had establishment as a science. Then we understood about research. And finally, we studied who were the people who were responsible or who made a huge difference in sociology. So, very good, we have studied it. Now we start the next section. The next section is known as social structure. Have you heard this term? What is social structure? What is structure? You can tell a layperson's definition. For example, we have the building structure or structure of a house. So, what do we understand by structure? The first word which comes to mind when you see this word is order. Whenever there is an order, whenever there is a pattern of behavior, of interaction, of rules, we say that there is a structure. Similarly, in society also, in sociology also, we are not studying anything which we can touch. We are not studying a building. What we are studying is we are studying the social structure. That means anything in society which has certain order, certain pattern, maybe of human relations. So, stratification comes here. Whenever in society there is a social structure, what happens? There is a certain structure. For example, you will see a building, it is built like this, one floor above. So, like this, there are so many floors. Similarly, in society also, this type of structure is there. There will be a ground floor, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, so many levels will be there. And these things are not, cannot be seen through naked eye. You cannot see it. These things are felt. For example, when we are talking about upper class, people who are from upper class, people who are from middle class, people who are from lower class, their living style, they are different. So you will see that there is some kind of differentiation in society, right? There is some kind of discrimination, some kind of invisible structures or invisible levels are built. So in society, what we are doing, we are studying this. So the subject matter of sociology, it starts from society. So what we are doing, we are studying structure of society. And Mobility means, what does mobility, आपने सुना है, what does mobility mean? What is mobile? Not the phone, I'm not talking about phone. What is mobile or mobility?
Ma'am, changes that happens, we can say.
It means simply movement. Earlier
Yes.
we had landline, we could not move, है ना? It had to be placed at a certain table of the living room, for example. But now we have phone which we can take from one place to another. It has become mobile, movable. So whenever there is a social structure, can there be a movement? Can there be, as you said, a change? है ना? Can there be a change in the position of people? That we will study under mobility. So all this, the social researchers, the sociologists, they are studying. And as sociology student, you are also studying. So you are studying what all things? Structure and mobility. So when you are studying the social structure or stratification, you will come across many theories. For example, you will study the structural functionalist theory. You will study theories by Marx and his followers, by Weber, and later who supported Weber. So, here what will happen? Again, theories are coming, even though thinkers' names are not mentioned. But what we have to do? We have to study these theories, right? So, small bits of theories are there in every topic from 5 also. So, topic 5, few theories are there. Then we study about work economic life, because a society is built on economy. Economy helps in the motion of the society, because the lifestyle of people are decided by what kind of economy they have, whether they belong to developing economy like India, or developed economy like US, or third world nation, right? So economy plays a very major role. Similarly, in economy, what is happening? People are working. They are known as labor. So labor means, does not only mean those contract laborers, but every person who is a part of a workforce. There could be organized workforce, you know, for example, people in the IT sector. There could be unorganized workforce, for example, the casual workers. So every person is directly or indirectly contributing to the economy or GDP of the nation. All these things are related to GS, but we have to study all these things from a sociological point of view. When when sociology emerged, what happened? There was a huge social change. There was change in different kinds, in the lifestyle of people, in the family, in the religion, in the polity, and the economy. And the sociologists, they were very much interested in economy, because it made a huge difference on the lives of people. Because you will see, every person needs money. They need a livelihood in order to be alive, in order to sustain their family, in order to educate their family, their children, get them married, and for their old age, they need financial security. And that is why economy is very important, and it was studied by sociologists. So here you will see perspectives like Marxist perspective. Karl Marx, he was very much interested. Here we have Durkheim also studied. He comes under functionalist. So these people, mainly I would say the positivists, they studied the economy and the labor force that time. Okay, so you are understanding how, after the thinkers came, after we understood about the thinkers, what happened? We had to study the subject matter, which was social structure, stratification, mobility, and then we came to economy. This is important. So, all this is coming under the subject matter of sociology. Is this understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, politics, very important. As a sociologist, you should be aware of everything which is happening in the political scenario, although you should not, you should try to be neutral, you should try to be apolitical, but at the same time, you should be an observer, neutral observer, but you should observe what is happening. For example, whether some kind of reservation is there in for women in the parliament, how far women are getting empowered in as panchayats, how is voting right helping people, what about protests, what about me too movements. So social movement, protest, all these things, they will come under politics. And as a sociologist, as a sociology student, you have to be observant about all these things which come into news every now and then. Apart from that, you will see many laws are being passed, many bills are being passed, Supreme Court judgments are there. So, these things you will be able to understand if you read the newspaper or any current affairs magazine. You will go through them and you will find in the politics section all these things will be polity section, it will be there. Okay, so this is also important from GS point of view and sociology also. So here politics is related to power or authority. So people belonging to a society, everyone does not have equal power. There are some people who enjoy greater power, power to rule over the majority. Majority is the people, and the minority people who are governing. For example, here we have the political leaders, right? And we elect them. So, all these things, how are they affecting society? How are they affecting the thinking, thought process of society? Are they helping in making changes? So, this thing you have to understand, and how the thinkers, the initial thinkers, what were their contributions in studying these political powers? For example, we have Parsons, we have Marx, then we have elite theories. People who enjoy the most power, they are known as elite, an elite class. So they we have thinkers who have studied these people also. For example, Pareto, Mosca, Mills, Hunter. Then we have pluralist, this theory. So these are few things which is going to require your understanding. Otherwise, the subject matter is simple, but the theory part will be something new, and you will require some understanding. You will require some help from others, from me, or from any other person. And here you will need some simplification of the concepts. Okay. Then the next subject matter we have is religion. Religion is very important because it is a force which is understood to bind society, but at the same time, what is it is doing? It is also dividing. So we have different theories who said, for example, the functionalists, they say that religion binds society. The Marxists, they say that it divides society, right? So we have these thinkers and we have to understand them. The remaining portion, the remaining subtopics, those are subtopics which you can understand and they do not require much grasping. Okay. And even once or twice, if you read, you will understand. But these theories, you will require more number of readings. Okay. Do not make notes immediately. your first job is to understand, है ना? We have to understand first, and then when we write the answers, what will happen? We will realize what are the points that I should remember, and then perhaps I will jot down some points. Please do not write notes in the first reading, right? Then the last type of subject matter which sociologists study is kinship. Now, in kinship, we will also study about family, we will also study about marriage. So, what happened? Kinship mainly it decides the type of relations which people may or may not have, whether two people belonging to a certain gotra can marry each other or cannot marry each other. You know? So all these things are decided by the rules of the kinship, and they are different for different regions. For example, people belonging to North India, they have different rules than South India. In South India, you will find that even cousins they can marry, but in North India, they cannot marry. So we have to learn them. There is a thinker known as Iravati Karve. So she has given classification of these types of kinship. So we have to remember them, right? Apart from that, there is a term which always comes in the news known as patriarchy. Have you understood? Have you known what is patriarchy? Have you come across this term?
Yes, ma'am.
So, although this is used very casually and people use it whenever they have to fight, okay, in the online field, but you as a sociologist, you have to see things in a deeper manner. And patriarchy, usually, when we talk of patriarchy, it was mainly used by the feminists and specifically the radical feminists, because they believe that because of patriarchy, what was happening, the females they were getting exploited, they were getting mistreated. So we have to dismantle the patriarchal system, right? So here what you have to do is you have to understand the perspectives. Perspectives means the theories of these feminists, and only then you can write a good answer. You cannot write your own perspective that I feel patriarchy should not be there in society only. So that will be very lay person's answer. So definitely you will get zero. You know? So whenever you are writing these answers, always remember the perspectives of these thinkers. You will find there even in the West as well as in India also we have many feminist writers, feminist sociologists. So we will be coming across these terms and we will memorize them first, few points from their theory, and then we will write them in our answers. Okay. Now, so first part was theory. Okay. First part was theory. Then the next part was the subject matter, which was structure. Now, the final part, whether there can be a change in this structure or not. That is the question. So, even though the sociologist may or may not be drivers of change, but in their heart, definitely they are studying because they want to see certain change in society. As a civil servant, your job is also to bring change in society. So, how can you bring change? Here you will be studying about agents of social change. For example, science and technology, education, law. So these are the tools which are going to help you bring social change. You will see in the news every now and then you will find in civil servants they are bringing some new kind of app for women or for any other section in order to ease or to facilitate some kind of new provision. So you can see how in the governance all these things are helping. They are helping in bringing social change. So before writing or understanding about these agents, we have to study few theories. So first will be the theories of social change. We have in the syllabus nothing is mentioned, but on the basis of PYQs we have finalized these thinkers or these theories. So we will be focusing on these in evolutionary, structural, functional, cyclical, conflict. Then in development also nothing is mentioned, but on the basis of previous year's papers we have market oriented, world system, state centered. Similarly for dependency these thinkers are there. So these we have to remember because questions are asked on these thinkers. And apart from that, how these tools are helping in bringing about a social change, those are asked. Now in UPSC, whenever you are writing answers on such questions which seem like GS answers, what you have to do is in sociology you have to make sure some kind of thinker is mentioned, some kind of statistics or news is mentioned, and you as a civil servant, how you are going to bring change, that point should also be reflected. You cannot be seen biased as a sociologist, but you have to be generalist as a civil servant, right? So this is the end. If you have any doubts, please come forward and ask. If you don't have any doubts, then you can ask them later personally also. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the end and overview of paper 1, all the thinkers and perspectives. So your job is to read a lot, revise regularly, start with weekly revisions, then 15 days, then monthly. Do this regularly, and at the last moment you will be well prepared to write the paper, because all this they will lead to remembering. Of course answer writing will be there, it has to be done once you start. So we are going to start answer writing next month, that is March. First Monday we are going to start, which is 3rd, I suppose, right? 3rd March we are going to start answer writing, and this week and the next week you will be doing some kind of basic reading so that you are well prepared for answer writing. Okay, so this has to be done. And next week what we will do for paper 2 thinkers, we will hold a similar session probably on Monday or Tuesday. I will share that link with you. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for attending the session, and I will share whatever files that I mentioned in the session. I'll send them to you. You can have a look and then you can ask your questions. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, all the best. Good night.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.